We're seeing signs of a new trend in the housing market, and how that trend develops is very telling about the rest of our economy. New home sales, well, they're selling fast. They were reported earlier today. We can see new one family homes sold. This is the velocity of the sales at 738,000. That is the best number we've seen since May of last year. That's a good number, but prices are declining. New home sales average sale price, it's down to $501,000. That's down from 527 reported only January of this past year. Demand is definitely greater than supply. We can see this from the monthly supply. This shows us the number of months it takes to sell all the inventory if no new homes were put on the market. Right now, we're at 7.6 months. Just earlier this year, we were at 8.7. Late last year, 8.8 months. It shows us that there definitely is more demand than supply as that supply is being absorbed into the markets. Now we can see here new one family homes sold in blue, and then that's the velocity of the sales, how many sales are conducted every single month. And then we have in red the new homes sold, the average sales price. And what we're seeing here, which is really kind of the crux of our entire video, is a divergence between the two. The velocity of sales is going up. More homes are being sold. However, they're being sold at lesser prices. The prices are declining while the velocity is improving. Now, we can look at building permits. That was also reported today. That's a leading indicator in the housing market. We can see our building permits, well, they're on the decline. This is in thousands, so that's 1.4 million. That's reported earlier today. That's down from highs of earlier this year at 1.5 million. Building permits are not required necessarily in every locale, but generally speaking, when there's a building permit issued, that's indicative of future construction to come. This is not a good sign, as building permits are in the decline. But there is a strong correlation between building permits and new homes sold. We can see when one goes up, so does the other. And then together, they both go to the downside. Lately, although we've seen a slight tick to the upside, and on a very short term, it is true that homes are being sold at a faster clip than quite a while. But what we're going to show you in just a moment, historically, they're actually not selling that fast. Now, here's a question. Why are building permits declining if home prices are so strong? If home prices are so strong, logic dictates, well, the home builders, they would see there's a demand out there, and home builders build homes. So they would think, let's build more homes since there's such a demand. Why is this not the case? In red, that's the average sales price. Now, here's a trick. If you have a very volatile number, take the 3-month average. It's the quarterly average. It really helps smooth out the more volatile numbers, like, for example, average sales price or durable goods, which we're going to see tomorrow. And in blue, that's the 3-month average of the building permits. And what we can see is a pretty stark divergence, a disagreement between the two. Again, sales prices are still quite strong. Building permits are on the decline. Why are home sales declining if home prices are so strong? Now, I know we started off reporting that home sales are selling at a very fast clip since May of last year. However, historically, we're talking about the red line here, new one family homes sold. It's actually, compared to where we were in 2020, 21, even 22, it's actually at a pretty weak pace. It's improving, but it's not doing as well as we can see the average sales price. That's in blue. Think of that sales price as being very much affected by inflation. The red, the number of homes being sold, that's our ability as a consumer to buy these homes. It's not as strong. There's a strong divergence. Well, let's take a look at the current housing cycle. Now, this is something that's happening right now. It doesn't always apply, but it's kind of a weird phenomenon that we see right now. We see higher prices. The higher prices for the homes, well, they're deterring buyers. Buyers don't want to pay so much. Well, those higher prices are translating into reduced building activity. This is why building permits don't look so good. The higher prices are deterring buyers, and the home builders are smart. They see there's not a lot of demand for homes at these prices, so they say, we're not going to build so much. And moreover, this reduced building activity contributes to a lower supply. And ironically, that low supply supports prices, and around we go. The higher prices deter the buyers. The buyers say, I don't want to pay so much. Well, the builders say, well, we'd rather sell higher priced homes, but it's not worth it to build so many of them. We'll make more by building less. And because they build less, there's low supply, which in turn, less supply, good amount of demand, those prices stay high. When did this cycle occur in the past, by the way? It's not the first time it happened. Well, we have to go back to those days that we always talk about, the 2006, 7, 8 financial crisis. In red, new home sales. This is a 3-month average. In blue, building permits. And what we can see, very interesting, the blue line, the building permits started to decline first. Kind of sounds familiar. The new home sales, that's the average price for the home, they declined later. And we can see the building permits, they peaked late 2005, early 2006. The average sales price for these homes didn't peak until probably first quarter 2007. So we can see here about a year and a half lag in between the building permits hitting their relative highs and then the new home sales hitting their highs. And it actually kind of makes sense because while the economy, 2005 and 6, it still looked quite good. But now when you see building permits are declining, less supply, that helps support prices. Even though fundamentally something is changing, it kind of acts as a buffer. Well, the same thing occurred with new home sales. The velocity of homes being sold, that's in blue. And again, in red, that's the average sales price. Both, by the way, 3-month averages. And we can see the new one-family home sold. That's that number that, again, remember we reported today. That peaked in mid-05. But again, the average sales price did not peak until early 2007. So there were less homes being sold. And this is why it's so important for us to look at multiple numbers, because one number tells a story, but it doesn't give us the big picture. The big picture here is that building permits and the velocity, the number of homes being sold, starts to decline. But because that decline kind of takes away some of the supply, the average sales price stays high. If we're only going to look at sales prices, we'd say, hey, the economy's strong, which is, by the way, what a lot of people did. And we can see here, 1.3 million, that was where we peaked in terms of the new homes being sold, and that went down to a pace of 850,000. During the same period of time, the average sales price actually went up from 285 to 321. Remember, again, today's number, around 500,000. Kind of puts all this inflation in perspective. Now we can see here in blue, that's the average sales price. And this is back to present day, by the way. Take a look to see if you see any similarities here. The average sales price, it's near the highs. Well, take a look at the new one-family home sold. That's a number of homes being sold. That peaked on the left-hand side around 2021. Remember, in 2007, well, a little bit before that actually, there was about an 18-month lag in between the peak of the new one-family home sold and the average sales prices peaking. Looks like we're a little bit more than 18 months. That's not a template. That's just one example. But it's interesting to see how we see quite the divergence and quite the lag in between the two peaks. So the question now is, what will break this housing cycle? Something has to change to shock us out of this, kind of cyclical pattern over here. Well, could it be that high prices that deter the buyers? Maybe the high prices will come down. If high prices come down, if people start to reduce their asking price, well, maybe that will, bring back some of the velocity. The new home sales will improve. And in turn, the builders will say, well, we can't sell it as much, can't sell a house for as much, but we certainly, we can sell more. Will that be the case? Or maybe the reduced building activity. Maybe the home builders will say, no, listen, we want to make money. We're going to start to increase the activity. We're going to build more and more homes. Even if we can't sell them for as much, we're going to build more. Well, if they build more, that will in turn increase supply. More supply, prices will come down. That will invite more buyers back to the market. Or will this cycle, will it break? Will it start with the low supply? Maybe there's just more people. Remember, we spoke about this yesterday, actually, the lock-in effect. There's a lot of existing home sellers. Now, I know today we're talking about new home sellers, but nevertheless, what if there's a lot of people in the existing home side that start to flood the market with their homes? Well, that will increase supply, that will bring down prices, and that in turn may invite more buyers back to the market. That will also bring down the prices of the new home sales. That would break us out of the cycle again. So the real question is, what's going to change first? And these are the three elements that we're going to watch very closely in the time to come. And speaking of yesterday, by the way, we spoke about the existing home sales. There's a different issue going on there. We hit 14-year lows on the velocity, the number of homes being sold. Remember, today we reported we're seeing the highest rate of sales on the new homes since May of last year. But the existing homes are selling at the slowest pace since, 14 years ago. What's the difference between new home sales and existing home sales? We talk about it in this video, and we'll throw a link up so you can see that as well. We hope this has been helpful. We look forward to seeing you back soon.